Coming to you live, previously recorded from Woower's Cantina.
We don't serve their kind here.
This is Mos Eisley Radio, your source for Star Wars gaming news. Welcome back, true believers. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. This is a brand new Mos Eisley Radio. It's insane.
Wouldn't it be their ears?
Well, I mean, they have to see that they have a brand new podcast on their podcast downloading service.
We could have blind listeners.
I suppose that is technically true, but I guess since no one really looks at us in any case, we should just move on. I think you totally knocked all the wind out of my sails for my big, yes, we're back speech, but, you know, I guess you could say we're the best,
That's
we're the
what
beautiful,
I'm here for.
We're the only Ghostbusters. We're back!
I wish we could say that.
Yeah. Anyways, who are we? I am still, after all this time, Evan Lewis, just one of your hosts, and I wouldn't do this without the real power behind the throne, the hand of the king, if you will.
The heart
And
of Mos Eisley Radio.
Yes, the heart, the nerve center, the brain, the internal organs, including the gizzard. And that is Mr. Leo Andre.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
That is good. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, it's fun to be back after such a long time.
So, that kind of begs the question, where have we been? I mean, we're busy people, as anybody else is. We've got work and family stuff and other projects, and this might be as good a time as any to do a little shameless self-promotion. So, what have you been doing that people can go see and possibly purchase?
Well, besides, like you said, work, my kid turned 3 not that long ago.
Yay!
And he doesn't just, lay there anymore like he used to. So
he doesn't just lay there on his back and make a mess.
Yeah, he wants to play and stuff all the time. But yeah, and I've been working on making some money doing t-shirt design stuff. So that's cool. It's a lot of fun, but time consuming. And like you said, they can go buy them. I've got you know what? I don't even know my own site's address. So
well, they can at least find Crackerbox Studios on Facebook, if nothing else.
That's true. They can find it there.
And there's no Crackerbox Twitter yet, is there?
Yeah. There's just I just use my own. Yeah,
that's true. You're ahead of the game.
There's another guy though on Facebook who's got a artist page called Crackerbox Studio with no S at the end. But yeah, my stuff's way cooler than his.
What a shameless ripoff!
Totally. I don't know. He's like Mexican or something.
What?
No, okay. Really. I mean, his page is all written in like Spanish.
Okay, at least you didn't say it's written in Mexican.
It's written Mexican.
It's almost as bad as being written in Canadian.
Just says A.
Oh dear. Okay, I think we've offended people from the north and the south. So, what have I been doing?
We'll apologize to the people from the south.
And that hair. I want to get him. Anyways, so that's that. So I guess we have a little bit of what, stories from the Outer Rim?
Is that what we call it? I don't know.
I don't even remember.
Or is it Tales?
I think it's Tales from Mos Eisley, Stories from the Outer Rim. Either way.
Anecdotes from the Edge of the Galaxy.
That sounds like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy sequel. Anecdotes from the Edge of Existence.
I heard a new ship from the Outer Rim just landed in Docking Bay 94. I wonder what kind of stories they have.
You have no idea.
All right. So, you have got a really cool X-Wing story to tell us. But before we get to the cool one, I'm going to share with the listeners and with you again a not so cool one. And that's my last play experience, because I want you to tell me how awesome your time was so that I will feel more like playing it again, because I want to love it, but I keep having bad experiences. So, if you don't mind, the last time I played, this is the one that we recorded for a game session video, which you can see on YouTube on the Board and Base channel, and it was me versus Zach. And what we'd actually done was to put a halt to the previous game that was being played between Christian and Tom, because it was an hour and a half long and they weren't done yet. So, and they were getting really frustrated because they couldn't kill each other. So then we started playing, and after an hour and a half, I think we finally got all my guys killed. I don't know how this keeps happening to me, but you watched the video. So first of all, you saw a lot of mistakes that we were both making, but I don't know, an hour and a half of trying to shoot each other and having nothing happening kind of led to a sharp decline in our appreciation of the game, and now we're trying to find ways of hacking the system and, making it more fast-paced. But you and other people, including Alan of Alan Shot First, have been absolutely loving the game. And when I asked the guy at my game store, he said it's gotten huge. People love it. People are playing it like crazy. So
yeah, I mean, Fantasy Flight, they basically sold out of core sets for a while there. You couldn't get core sets. I mean, and right now you can't buy an Interceptor hardly anywhere.
All the new ones are back on reprint already.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead.
And well, I was just gonna say basically that, and it really sucks because I want like at least one more Interceptor, maybe two. So I'm annoyed.
So I'm excited to hear about all the good games that are being played.
Speaking of X-Wing ships, I don't remember. Did I ever tell you thank you?
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Well, if I didn't, it was cool. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
I've got plans to repaint my Y-Wing, and I'm going to turn it into a Gray Squadron Y-Wing.
Oh, very cool. I saw that on your Amazon wish list, and I could have sworn you had those already.
Oh, I do, but you
want more?
I never heard. I probably just forgot to delete them, but yeah, I'm gonna repaint them.
I didn't think you would mind getting more.
No.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Part of it comes from experience. I think you'll find the more you play, the faster you will get, because you don't have to spend quite as much time pondering your maneuvers. Mm-hmm. In some situations you do, because you have to try and figure out, you have to think to yourself, what's my opponent going to do? What should I do that's going to put me in the best position to shoot them up? Yet there's a lot of times where there's really only one maneuver available to you. It's going to be the one that makes the most sense when you're in that position. And the more you play, the more, or the faster you get at that kind of stuff. So that'll speed you up. I mean, like when I did the regional tournament here this last weekend, we did 4 rounds of play, and the actual tournament rules are 75 minutes. So an hour and 15 minutes. And not one of my rounds went over that time limit. We got close with a couple of them, but I never went over that time. So I think, though, about an hour, depending on the size of your squads, about an hour is a good time to allot to play this game.
Okay.
And it all depends on what kind of squads you're both playing. Like if you've got Imperial squads with lots of ships in them, more ships just is going to mean more time playing, frankly, because it takes longer to move each one of those and to come up with your maneuvers for each one each turn. And, it just frankly adds to the time of the game. And it's also, learning to use all your abilities of your pilots and your cards to their fullest, and doing things like, focusing fire. I don't know how much you guys did of that. I did see some of that where you guys were just, when I watched your video, you guys were just sort of sometimes just shooting willy-nilly, you know.
Well, no, it's true. I mean, sometimes there's not much you can do. Like, well, I want to shoot there, but I had to avoid an asteroid, so now I can just shoot that guy and not much is going to happen.
And other times it's not. So, you want to focus fire down something, pick a target, blow the crap out of it. And a lot of times it's not always like the most powerful, scary guy on the board. Sometimes instead what you want to do is you want to take out all of his little escorts that he's got with him first.
I think that's what gets me a lot. Because I always target Vader first if I'm playing
or
Rebels versus Imps.
Or you've got somebody like Luke with R2 on him, so he can constantly be regenerating his shields. Well, you know what? He's going to keep regenerating his damage unless you're really pounding on him. Mm-hmm. So it's like, whatever, screw it. Just leave him alone and kill all his buddies until, let him dink around with R2. And then once everybody else is dead, then, turn all your guys on Luke and take him out.
Do you ever see anyone run Luke at a tournament?
No, I've never seen Luke. I've seen Wedge and Biggs.
Oh, yeah.
But I have yet to actually see Luke or Garvin Drace in a tournament. I've seen Horton Psalm, both Horton and Dutch a few times in their Y-Wings. Usually when there's, if somebody's running TIE Advanced, usually there's Darth Vader in it. Don't see a lot of Merrick Steele.
Didn't you use him?
I did use him, but I quickly ended up changing him out for Darth Vader.
Oh.
I actually ended up, really Darth Vader having 2 actions is just, it's too good, especially, when you can use, Squad Leader, where you can give an action to another pilot if you want. So Darth Vader can, if he doesn't need his second action, give it to one of your other pilots.
Steve kept doing that to me at the Kessel run. Oh man, I did not expect that.
But yeah, have you guys had regionals in your area yet?
Yeah, it was just this past weekend. Thanks, government, for keeping me busy.
Yeah, we just had ours this last weekend too, and I had a lot of fun. Well, like I always do whenever we have these local X-Wing get-togethers, but it was a lot bigger than normal because we usually do once a month. We'll do an X-Wing day at our local game store, but here for the regional tournaments, we had a lot better turnout than normal, and we even had some people, a lot of out-of-towners come because they wanted to do the regionals. We even had some calls from Winnipeg and from South Dakota because there was no regionals anywhere in South Dakota, and like Winnipeg wasn't having any either. So there were some people from those areas who were planning on coming, but then we had some kind of crappy weather that weekend, so they stayed home. But even still, we ended up with a pretty big turnout, and it was big enough that we had to do a 4-round tournament instead of a 3 like we usually do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we started playing at around 1, and it was like 7:30 when we were all done. When it was all said and done, it was towards the end, like that last round, I'll admit, it was starting to get pretty exhausting. Although I was really wore out from the round before that. So what I ended up running is I ran Crassus Trellix in the fire spray. He had a shield upgrade and the gunner co-pilot, and then he had the heavy laser cannon. And then I had 4 Academy TIE fighters with him. And my first round, I ended up facing almost the exact same squad, except the guy had Boba Fett and like unnamed, or no, yeah, he had Boba Fett and then just a couple, and then I think he only had like 3 ties with his, but I ended up stomping him, so that was good. No problem.
Well, stompings are good.
And then second round, I completely destroyed his squad. Second round, I went against a guy with, he had Hull Runner, and then, what was it, like three of the no-name, like the Tempest Squad pilots for the TIE Advanced, something like that. Stomped him too. Good times.
So was it just a matter of, it wasn't just better rolls? I can't get my question out. Were your strategies just that much different than everybody else's?
There's some like I'll be frank, I outmaneuvered my opponent. In those first 2 rounds, I frequently outmaneuvered them, where I got some good shots and they couldn't. And then the loadout I had on the fire spray is just so good, because the heavy laser cannon rolls 4 attack die at range 2 or 3, which is awesome, especially if you're shooting at range 3, because they don't get the extra defense die that they normally would, because it's a secondary weapon. And then Crassus's ability, the pilot's ability, lets him re-roll 1 die whenever you attack with a secondary weapon. So I frequently was scoring at least 3 hits, many times even hits with all 4 dice. It was pretty awesome. So I was just pounding him with that. And then you have the gunner as your co-pilot, which says if you attack and it misses, you can immediately make a primary weapon attack. So even if I missed, I got the second chance to try and hit him.
Jeez.
So it was great. I mean, I was destroying him. The third round was probably the tensest game of X-Wing I've played yet, because he was playing a variant of this build I've seen a lot, I've been seeing people talk about it on the forums and stuff. People call it hand shoots first. Well, because he's a pilot skill 9, so he usually does get to shoot first. But they put Han in the Falcon, and they put Gunner in there, just like I was using, and then they put marksmanship on Han also. So they can attack me. Then they can use Han's ability to re-roll all of their dice if it's a crappy roll. And then if they still miss, they can use their Gunner to attack a second time. And then they also add in, and then you take marksmanship as your ability or as your action for the turn, which lets you turn all focus tokens into hits and one of them into a crit, which means, you're usually hitting 3 or 4 hits a turn with that build. And then what did he have with that? He had a couple rookie pilots, a few rookie pilots, I think, were just his, rookie X-Wings were his, ships he had with it. We traded hits for a while, me and him. Eventually I got his rookie pilots all gone. And then I get his Millennium Falcon whittled down to 1 hit point left, 1 hull point left. And I've got my fire spray that's lost only 1 shield, and then a TIE fighter still that has like 1 hit point left on it. So he kills my TIE fighter on his attack. And then I attack him, and I kill off his, and I hit him, I blow up his Millennium Falcon. But I forget the fact that he had Chewbacca on there as a co-pilot. So what he gets to do is he gets to discard Chewbacca, and then he discards the damage, and he regenerates a shield. And then, because of some really good maneuvering on his part, he manages to keep out of my firing arc for the next 2 rounds, which means he gets to keep shooting at me. And then I do a turn, and I just barely nick the corner of an asteroid, which means I don't get to attack. So he gets 3 rounds to attack me where I can't shoot back, and he does like 8 or 9 damage to me. And I'm down to just 2 hull points left. And he's got his 1 shield and his 1 hull point. So we each have 2 hits left. And it's the last round, and we're both in each other's firing arcs. He gets to attack first because he's Han. He rolls, he attacks, he ends up getting 1 crit on me. And so I flip up the card knowing if I get direct hit, I'm screwed. It's game over. Which I was so mad. I was so mad right about then because, like I said, I had full hit points and he had 2, and he had nothing, and like I thought I had this game in the bag like 4 turns ago, but because of some bad maneuvering on my part and some good maneuvering on his, he kept getting to shoot at me and I couldn't. But yeah, so I flipped the crit over. Luckily, basically does nothing. So I only take 1 damage. I roll, I attack him, I kill him. It was game over, but God, it was so close. I was like, my hand was shaking as I pulled that damage card to see if it was a direct hit for 2 damage. But yeah, and then the third round, I just got blown out of the water, or the fourth round, I got just blown out of the water by a guy playing a very similar build, only he had Han in the he had Han and he had the gunner and he had marksmanship, but then he also had but then he had like 2 Y-wings with ion cannons. So they used those ion cannons to keep my fire spray out of the fight until it was basically dead. And unfortunately, but for my build, if I don't have, that's where all my power comes from, is from the fire spray with that heavy laser cannon.
Right.
So him keeping it out of the fights, basically screwed me. And yeah, it only took us like, I think less than a half hour. And I said, let's just call it, you win.
Oh, jeez.
Because I only had like 2 TIE fighters left, and he hadn't taken any damage on his Falcon yet. He hadn't taken any damage on one of the Y-Wings, and the other Y-Wing still had 4 hull points left, and I only had my 2 TIE fighters, so I didn't even feel like... And by this point, by that 4th round, it was such a long day, like I was just completely mentally exhausted. Like I was making really bad maneuvers left and right. And it was like, with my fire spray, whenever he didn't ion me, I managed to drive onto an asteroid with it. So, making it completely useless. I think I did like 4 damage to my fire spray just from me driving it on asteroids.
Yeah, I've noticed those asteroids can really tip the scales more than I guess I'd like them to.
Well, it's just another thing you need to learn to play around. It's a little bit tougher with the bigger ships, but the more you play with them, it's just, the more you get used to them.
Well, and actually, in that last game that Zach and I played, I wasn't the one steering my face into an asteroid every single turn. I was relying on him to pilot himself into asteroids to help me out.
Well, see, that's half the fun with Y-Wings is, timing your ions so you can send them flying into asteroids.
You're right. I hadn't thought of that.
That's one of the things that makes the ions so powerful is you can force them to fly into asteroids, or if you catch them near the edge, you can have them fly right off the edge of the map. I saw that happen at least once during the regional tournament. I saw one guy, he flew his Falcon right off the edge of the map. Not because of a Y-Wing, because he misjudged his maneuver. And then he almost got in like a fist fight with his opponent over whether it was actually off the map or not. It was pretty hilarious.
Was there a judge there to go, ring out?
There was a judge, but he wasn't paying attention.
Oh my gosh.
Well, these two guys they get in fights pretty much with each other pretty much every time we play.
Oh jeez. There's a few people I'd like to get in a fight with at our store.
Yeah. Well, these two are very much they're like the rules lawyery types,
Yeah.
Like just about everybody else there is having fun, and they're just taking it way too seriously. And then so whenever they play against each other, hilarity ensues.
I would like to see that. It'd be like one of those not like a bum fights, but like the hooligan fights, the hooligan brawls that break out in England after a soccer game. That's what this would be like. It'd be like 2 nerds just like slapping each other in the face over a Star Wars game.
So one time we took a field trip down to the cities, and we rode on a boat on the Mississippi River. Mm-hmm. And me and Mike Welly brought our magic cards with us. And so we were playing magic on the boat. And I don't even remember what I did, but I did this really awesome thing and won the game. And he got so mad that he reached over the table and punched me right in the face.
What? Oh my gosh. Did you punch him back?
No, I continued playing the game. Well, actually, here's how it was. Or it wasn't that I won the game, but I killed like all his creatures. And I was just pointing at each of them on the table. And I saw like, this guy's dead. This guy's dead. This guy's dead. And I wasn't even paying attention. All of a sudden, just wham, fist right in my face. And then I just go, and this guy's dead. And that guy.
Wow. There'd have been some murder that day if I'd gotten punched like that.
Yeah, well, it didn't take much to upset you. All we had to do is tell like Packers jokes, and you'd come over and start strangling us.
But it's hilarious. You're just jealous because you wanted Brett Favre, and then you got him.
Yeah.
The end. Okay, so you're getting ready for World Championships, huh?
Yeah. I was kind of, I would have liked to win first place just so I could have got the free entry into the worlds and a first round bye, but whatever. I'm still probably gonna go down there. I had a lot of fun last year. I'd like to do it again this fall.
And so it's for sure gonna be at the Game Center?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering if it was gonna be at Gen Con because they had their first official tournament for X-Wing at Gen Con. But I suppose that will just be...
Well, I'm sure they'll do a tournament.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
I'm sure they'll do some kind of regional championship or whatever there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Worlds is still going to be at the event center, which is perfect for me.
Well, yeah, of course it is.
It's it's only like a 4-hour drive.
That's not that bad.
No, not really.
No. Well, is that all we got?
That's I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well... There you go.
So there you go. You asked for it, people. So there you go.
Oh, I should mention, because we were going to say, well, we didn't put out any, big notices about doing this episode or anything, but we did get a couple of people quite happy to hear that we were doing it on the Twitter. And we have to mention that I meant to reply to this email that we had received, but I failed to do so on a timely basis before doing the show. But I'll probably get the email up before I finish editing. In any case, we got a very nice email from one of the two Erics that are the hosts of the Forcecast and contributors to theforce.net, basically saying that they just got into the X-Wing game and they just started listening to us, and they were disappointed to hear that, or to hear/see that we hadn't done anything for a while. And when you get... we get a response like that from people who have been, doing what we've been doing, more or less, on a bigger scale for longer, and they've been through it all. So that's really cool, really amazing. There's not very good adjectives for it, but you get the idea, and they kind of lights a fire under you. So we got to say thank you to Eric from theforce.net, Forcecast. If you don't listen to that, you should. If you don't go to theforce.net, you should. And by the way.
Right. Okay. Moving on.
Yes.
Wave 3 of X-Wing.
There we go. Oh, yeah. So we put out a couple of tweets before these actually hit. And we said, so what are your predictions? And across the board, everyone said, TIE Bomber, B-Wing.
Well, I mean, those were obvious because they were like the two remaining starfighters from the movie. So you almost had to think they have to be in there.
Right. Oh, excuse me. But no one could quite put their fingers on what the remaining 2 out of 4 were going to be. And I mean, know somebody said Moldy Crow. I can't find it, though. Whoever you were, speak up, because I can't find who said it.
So, yeah, to that one guy who actually predicted Moldy Crow, well done, sir.
I think they thought it was a pipe dream.
It never even entered my mind.
No.
A decent amount of people did also predict the Lambda class shuttle. I guess I thought it was a possibility, but I didn't really think that they would do it. So I'm a little surprised actually to see the Lambda shuttle. Mm-hmm. I think it works the way they're doing it as a support ship. It works because I was like, well, it's not really a combat ship, so I just didn't see it. But it could work the way they've got it set up. So
well, and it opens up a whole new field of strategies because before all we had were attackers that had different strengths. Now we're getting into actually different roles for ships to fulfill. So, which one do we want to tackle first?
Well, we were just talking about the Lambda. Let's start with that.
All right.
So, if anybody doesn't recognize the name Lambda class shuttle, that was best known as the shuttle Tidarium that the rebels fly to Endor in Return of the Jedi. Kind of triangular shaped ship, wings fold up. The model looks pretty cool. Apparently the wings just fold on the model as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I hope that like the wings are removable or something like that. Otherwise, there's like no way I will be able to carry this around in my X-wing carrying case.
Yeah, I should certainly hope so.
I have to get like a separate carrying case just for my shuttle.
Well, yeah, because the Slave 1 and the Falcon are pretty compact.
They're pretty
ships
flat
compared to this. Yeah. Okay, so we've got Shuttle Tidarium.
Yep. And, it's a large base ship, so this makes number 3 the third large size ship. Let's see, 3 attack, 1 agility, and then 5 hull and 5 shields. So it can take a lot of hits, can dish it out pretty decently, but it only has that 1 agility, so it's not going to be very maneuverable. It's going to be real easy to hit.
It's a freaking tank, though.
Yeah,
My
and
gosh.
it probably means that its maneuver dial is going to be somewhat similar to a Y-Wings. There's people who are wondering if it's even going to have any K-turns on it at all, which would make it, really hard to maneuver around, especially since it only has a forward firing arc, no turrets, no rear firing arc like the Fire Spray. But it can have 2 additional crew, and it can have a heavy weapon and the new kind of upgrade that they're having for this wave called the Systems Upgrade, which will be cards such as there's one called Advanced Sensors, which lets you perform an action before you maneuver instead of after, if you so choose to do so. I'm thinking that could be kind of cool put on the B-Wing, because the B-Wing will allow system upgrades too. Because one of the B-Wing's actions is a barrel roll. So you could use advanced sensors to, like, say you're sitting in front of an asteroid, barrel roll off to the side away from the asteroid before you do your move, so you don't have to run into the asteroid. And I'm guessing, and the Lambda shuttle comes with 12 different upgrade cards, so some of the ones we don't know yet might, synergize with the sensors to have some more actions you want to take before you maneuver instead of after. There could also be some stuff like, get a target lock on a ship and then move yourself. But by then, because, it could be after your move, you're out of range to get that target lock. So there's going to be plenty of good uses for that.
Yeah, I was looking at a couple of the other linked images on the FFG website article on the new ships, and one of the other system upgrade? Is that what the icon with the satellite dish is?
Yeah, the
is that what that's actually called? Yep. System upgrade? The sensor jammer.
Oh, yeah.
Which basically, when defending, you may change one of the attacker's regular hits to a focus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, for any ship, that would be nice. And for this kind of slow-moving tank, that's especially nice.
Uh-huh. I mean, especially if the ship attacking you hasn't taken the focus action, obviously, then it's really powerful because it completely negates one of the damage. Let's see, what else we got with the Lambda class? There's a couple. It's gonna have 3 unique pilots and 1 generic. 2 of the unique pilots have been shown already. The first one is Colonel Jendon, who he was the pilot of Vader's shuttle in Return of the Jedi. So yeah, he was on screen for all of 2 seconds.
Was he even at all?
Yeah, they I think that they show him. When do they show that?
At the very, very, very beginning?
Yeah.
Boy, I can't even think of it. Anyways, not important.
And in other lore, he was also the first test pilot for the TIE Defenders, which could be a hint for what's coming up in the future. Because that's one thing they've done is they've sort of dropped hints in the cards from the wave before it for what you'll see in the next wave. Like they've been pictured in the background or whatever of in some of the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a possibility. He's got pilot skill 6, and you can take one of your if he has a blue target lock, you can give that blue target lock icon to another ally you have within range 1 of your shuttle. So yeah, you can move your target locks around, which is going to be pretty cool, especially when you can give it to ships like TIEs that I'm assuming, because it doesn't say they have to have the target lock ability, that ship, so you could give it to like a TIE fighter, which normally can't target lock.
I'm willing to bet that will be in the whatever rules sheet or card or packet comes with it. Like,
I don't know. I could see it thematically just being sort of like, just sending your target lock data to the TIE fighter's computer.
Mm-hmm.
They did it a lot in like the X-Wing books, where one ship would get a target lock,
mm-hmm.
and then share the data with someone else in the squad. So
okay,
I could see it working.
I guess it is reasonable.
The other one is Captain Kagi, who he piloted Palpatine's shuttle to Mustafar in Revenge of the Sith. He's got an 8 pilot skill, so that's pretty high. And he draws fire to him. He basically, if enemies want to take the target lock action, if they could lock onto Kagi, they have to lock onto him. So he's got a kind of like a big like ability where he draws the fire. But yeah, it's basically for him, it's to help keep missiles off your other ships is one thing he'll be really useful for.
Now let me ask you this really quick: is the wording on our show notes? Enemies have to target lock onto Kagi if able to. Is that directly from the card?
No, I just paraphrased it. It's because the way I wrote it basically means like they have to take the target lock action and lock onto him. No, it's if they're going to target lock.
Okay. And
Kagi is a legal target, they have to choose him as the target. I mean, they could choose to do a different action instead of target locking, but
and that might be what they are forced to do then. Because I like to target lock Vader because I like to get him off the table, but that's me, falling into that, trap essentially of targeting the biggest guy first. But that's what I have done in the past, so that would throw that whole plan out the window, even though it's a bad plan anyways.
See, and like with Kagi here, that could make it tougher, because usually, at least the way I play, what you want to do is you want to take out whatever small ships are escorting the big ship.
Right.
Especially with the shuttle, because with it being so immobile, I guess, not very maneuverable, if you can take out whatever ships are with it, it's probably going to be a pretty easy target, I'm guessing. So having to not be able to use any of your target locks on its escorts is going to, just make your job that much harder. A couple other upgrades that come with it that we know of for sure. There's going to be a title card for it. ST-321, which was the designation of Vader's personal shuttle. Don't know what the card does. There's a new crew member called Imperial Prisoner, which says, first ship to attack that attacks your ship gets a stress token.
Oh, is that Rebel Captive?
I thought it was called Imperial Prisoner, because they're a prisoner of the Imperials.
That would make more sense.
That's what I wrote down anyways.
Okay.
So yeah, again, you put that with Captain Kagi, you kind of make yourself a target, but then punish them for targeting you. So, but yeah, there's going to be a lot more to be revealed here, I'm sure, because like I said, it comes with 12 different upgrade cards. And so it's kind of interesting because its abilities and then its upgrades, at least the ones we know of, put it into more, like you said, it's more of a support ship, rather than a fly into the middle of the combat and start blasting stuff up ship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, when you have the opportunity, you're going to take shots. But yeah, you're going to be more using it, like you're going to have your Colonel Jendon out there, and you're going to be, getting target locks and giving them to your other ships, things like that.
Right.
Allowing them to have a target lock and also, take an evasion maneuver or something, or an evasion action, something like that. Because, as many hit points as you have, and with only one agility, it's not like the Lambda class is going to be dodging a lot of hits or anything. So,
but it can certainly take a few.
Yeah.
And it's got a 3 attack, which is not too bad. It's on par with an X-Wing.
Yeah. Plus it can have a heavy weapon, so that's all going to depend on what's, I'm sure there's probably going to be some kind of new heavy weapon. I'm sure it comes with at least an ion cannon, because like I said, if you look at the pictures, the Lambda shell comes with 4 ion tokens, which, I wonder if it might come with some sort of upgraded version of an ion cannon. That could maybe possibly put more than 1 ion token on a ship, meant for targeting other large ships. Because, you have to get 2 ion tokens on a large ship before it's considered ionized. So.
Now let me ask you this really quick. Since the Lambda seems like it's going to be far less maneuverable than either the Falcon or the Slave 1, do you think that's going to make it easier to pilot since you're not trying to get into the mix, since you are trying to just kind of stay back and play support? Do you think that's going to make this ship a little easier to manage?
Well, it all depends. I mean, there's some like the Jendon's target lock moving ability. You have to be within range 1 of one of your allies, which means you can't really just hang out on the edge of the map and watch the fight. You still got to get in there. And, it's hard to speculate until we actually see the maneuver dial, too. I mean, I'm just sort of inferring from the fact that it only has agility 1 that its maneuver dial is going to be comparable to a Y-Wing's.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, having that, less options to maneuver, since it's got the lower agility, especially with a large ship like that, if you get in the thick of things, like in the middle of some of the asteroids on the board, it's kind of going to be a pain in the butt, I think.
Okay, anything else on the Lambda, or shall we move on?
No, we can move on to the Rebels support ship that they got, which is, as we said, is the Moldy Crow, or the actual model of that ship is the HWK-290. For people who don't recognize what the Moldy Crow is, that was Kyle Katarn's ship in the first 2 Dark Forces games. It's a bit smaller ship. So it's just a normal size base, same size as the X-Wings and all that stuff. It's only got 1 attack, 2 agility, 4 hull, and 1 shield. So, those stats are not the greatest.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like a crappy Y-Wing stats.
Yeah, I was actually kind of saddened to see how weak it was, but it was never known for being, in the mix. It got Kyle to his destination, and then Jan would slip away and wait for his call back.
Yeah. I mean, I like that it's got the 2 agility instead of just the 1 agility that the Y-Wing had. But, with only 1 attack, it's not much. Now, it does have a turret weapon. It can have a turret upgrade. And there is a card that comes with it called Blaster Turret, but we don't know what the card does at all yet. So, that could be a more powerful weapon to sort of make up for the crappy attack of the primary weapon. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that it only has 1 shield and 4 hull. I guess I would have liked to see like more like 2 shields and 3 hull, like the Y-Wing, just because shields, absorb crits, so they're slightly more powerful than a hull point.
But it at least does get I'm not sure what the icon is, a crewman?
Yep, but you can have 1 crew member on the ship.
As well as, I can't even remember what these icons are actually called.
It can have a crew member and a turret. And then, and then the named pilots can have the elite pilot abilities.
Yep, that's the one I'm trying to.
But that's that's just most named pilots can do that.
Right, but I mean, with a ship like this that is inherently weak, it seems like you would need all the upgrades you could put on it. It's not something that you can just throw out a no-name guy on, like a red squadron pilot or a black Talon pilot or anything like that.
Yeah, it's
that would be a waste of points, I think.
I mean, granted they're not super expensive either. Like Kyle Katarn, he's only 21 points. And at the start of combat, he can move a focus icon to another nearby ship. Jan is the most expensive of all the named pilots. She's 25 points. And when a friendly ship is at range anywhere from 1 to 3 and attacks, Jan can take a stress token, assuming she doesn't have any, to give that ship an additional attack die. Now that could be a nice support ability right there. Especially if you have if there's like a critical shot where it's all like, okay, I have to destroy this guy before he destroys my ship. You know what I mean? So, having Jan being able to give another ship an extra attack die can be a big help. The last named pilot is Rourke Garnett, who is the original owner of the Moldy Crow before Jan and Kyle got it, and he can make a nearby ship's pilot skill be 12 for the duration of the combat. And he only costs 19 points. So, it's right in line with the cost of a no-name Y-Wing is 18 points, I think, is the Gold Squadron Y-Wing. Just off the top of my head. And so here you get 19 points, for a slightly less good ship, but you get a pilot ability with that. And there's also the fact that, we don't know what the maneuver dial is right now, but with 2 agility, it's probably going to be better than a Y-Wings. It'll be more comparable probably to like an X-Wings, maneuver dial. So, for the points, I'm not super excited about the Moldy Crow, but for the points, I can see putting 1 in a squad with, like Rourke or Jan. Neither of those are terrible abilities. I don't know about Kyle's ability to move a focus icon. Doesn't really get me too excited. Unless one of its upgrades does more with focus icons, because this ship does come with, when you look at all the stuff that comes with the ship, it comes with like 6 or 7 focus tokens. That's a lot of focus tokens just for one ship. So they're sort of saying you might be using a lot of focus tokens with this ship. So it's got 6 different upgrades. The only 2 that I've seen so far are the Moldy Crow title. Don't know what that does. And then there's also a crew member called a Recon Specialist. Don't know what that does either. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jan as a crew member also, besides being a pilot, sort of like how Chewie was crew and pilot for the Falcon. I'm reserving my judgment on this ship until we know a little more, but off the bat, I'm not super excited about it. Don't see myself ever buying more than 1.
Which is kind of a shame, because Kyle Katarn and Jan Ors are, I think, 2 of the more popular EU characters that are not named Mara Jade.
Or Thrawn.
Or Thrawn. Or Talon Card.
Yeah, I don't think Talon Card's not really that popular.
You don't think so? I think...
No.
I know
Yeah,
a number of people who think he's pretty awesome.
Well, I mean, there's people who think he does, but I mean, you could go amongst, flat
scans, mudbloods.
A good number of Star Wars fans, and they're going to at least have a general understanding of who Mara Jade and Thrawn are.
Uh-huh.
But I'm willing to bet that those same people have no idea who Talon Card is.
Well, then they're not really Star Wars fans.
I think you have to be like a deeper level of nerd to know Talon Card.
I suppose you could be right about that. So anyways, actually, you know what? Before we get on to the other two more obvious ones, I think it was Seth who asked, put out an idea. And the idea is that since both of these ships, the Moldy Crow, or I should say the Hawk 290 and the Lambda, have had known owners from other factions, would there be anything stopping them from printing a card and a base for the other faction?
Nothing except for Fantasy Flight stating straight out that they're not going to do that.
Oh, have they really?
Yeah. They've said, people have asked that, and, they've said no.
But why not?
I believe, somebody said somebody asked that question at the Star Wars Game Experience here, and their response was something like, they're like, when will we be seeing, cards, cross faction cards will we see them for the Lambda? And they're like, which faction did we tell you it's for? That's which faction it's for.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have a problem with that. Because it's not like you always have to play if your opponent is Imperials, you always have to play Rebels, something like that. So there's nothing stopping you from making a squad with Lambdas in it. And I get you can't throw a Lambda and an X-Wing together. But at the same time, really if you're just playing casually, there's nothing at all stopping you from doing that anyways.
Oh, sure.
If you want to. Because it's not like the two factions are incompatible or anything like that.
Oh, and I'm sure this has already, this joke has already been made. But what kind of squad would they make on Revenge of the Nerds?
Three Lambdas. The
Lambda. There you go. I feel a t-shirt design coming on.
Oh man, they actually had, because I don't know if you saw some of they listed the top 4 finalists for the X-Wing tournament at the Game Experience, and one of the squads was 3 generic fire sprays.
I saw that. I'm like, someone actually went for that, and the fact that it placed, that speaks pretty highly of of the player and the ship itself. Yeah,
well, and I can't, I don't remember off the top of my head what upgrades the ships had on them at all, if there was any or not, but, well, no, I don't think so, because a bounty hunter's 33 points, so yes, that would be 99 points right there, so no room for any upgrades, really.
Wow. That's pretty good. Alright. Now that we've gotten done speculating, that sounds really bad.
Yeah, so the other 2 ships, like we said, these were the ones pretty much everybody knew were going to be in this wave. I think I would have been really, really shocked if neither the B-Wing or TIE Bomber had shown up.
Yeah.
But the B-Wing of the 4 ships is actually the one I'm the most excited about. Well, I should say I'm really excited to get my hands on the model for the Lambda. I don't necessarily know how much I'm going to use it in play, but God, does it look cool.
It really does. There's so much detail on that thing. It's crazy.
But the B-Wing is probably, the ship I'm probably going to use the most. Even still, it's still more of like you wouldn't want to make a whole squadron of them. I think two is like the most I'll probably end up fielding. But, again, once we see maneuver dials and stuff like that. Things can change, but so its stats are it's got 3 attack, but only 1 agility, but then it's got 3 hull and 5 shields, so 8 hits altogether. That's pretty awesome. And then it can focus, target lock, and barrel roll, which I think is great that it can barrel roll even with only 1 agility.
Yeah.
But, it makes sense, especially since the whole ship rotates around its cockpit.
Mm-hmm.
It can have 2 torpedoes on it. It can have a heavy weapon and a systems upgrade as well. And one card that both the bomber and the B-wing are going to be coming with here is an advanced proton torpedo, which you roll 5 attack die, and then you can change up to 3 of your blanks into focus icons. So, here's where something could play well with like Kyle Katarn's focus moving ability is you can target lock with your B-wing. Kyle can take a focus and then move that focus over to your B-wing, and then that way he's got 2 actions to take right there. So he can use his target lock to fire the proton torpedoes and then use his focus to add more hits. So, but on the flip side, an advanced proton torpedo costs 6 points, which is a lot for a one and you're done thing.
Yeah, we had even talked about that before with the regular proton torpedoes. It's kind of a throwaway points.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it only works at range 1, so you got to get up close to use it. You can't stand back and fire like you usually do with missiles. So I don't know. I mean, it's at that point. I mean, especially if you're going against like a TIE. God, at range 1, that's darn near guaranteed kill with 5 attack and being able to change blanks into focuses. I mean, if you can fire it while you have a focus token, it's almost an assured kill right there.
Well, okay. Well, still talking about how useful, like these torpedo cards are, since they are fire and forget essentially.
Yeah.
If you have to use it at range 1, shouldn't you already be doing more than enough damage? I mean, I guess it's just to ensure damage, but is it that worth it? If you're at range 1 and you're firing, you should be hitting. You should be doing massive damage.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, because, okay, so you're at range 1 and you're firing your primary weapon. That's only 4 dice at range 1 versus 5. Plus, you don't have the option to change your blanks into focuses when you're doing your primary weapon. So, yeah, I mean, you're only going to probably be hitting with your primary weapon. I mean, this is almost guaranteed. But yeah, I think, in the end, I'd still rather see the 6 points for something else, most likely, especially as expensive as B-Wings are. They've sort of spoiled the 2 generic pilots. The cheapest one, Blue Squad, is 22 points, and the Nova Squad pilot's 24 points, which means we're looking at, probably 26, 28 points for the named pilots, and for just a starfighter, that's a lot. Granted, they're pretty, they can take a beating, that's about as many hit points as a fire spray right there. So, I mean, they'll probably definitely be worth those points. So, like I said, I think that's the ship I'm most interested in playing with when it does come out. The one for the bomber then for the Imperials is the TIE bomber. That one's going to have 2 attack, 2 agility, 6 hull, and no shields. So, again, that's a lot of hit points, but unfortunately it's all in hull, which means it's vulnerable to crits.
And it's got a ton of possible upgrades, at least on the Gamma Squadron pilot.
It's very versatile. 2 torpedoes, 2 missiles, and a bomb for upgrades. And then, the name pilots will most likely have the elite pilot upgrades as well. But yeah, even with only 2 agility, it can still do barrel rolls, which is nice. And then it can focus and target lock. It's got the one of the new bombs, the proton bomb. When it detonates, it deals 1 crit to each ship within range, whether they have shields or not. Proton bombs just bypass shields and deal a hull damage. So, yeah, that sounds cool. And then the two, again, we've only seen the generic pilots with a Gamma Squad pilot at 18 points and a Scimitar Squad at 22. So don't know exactly what we'll be seeing out of the named pilots for this ship yet either. I don't know. I'm just sort of ho-hum about the ship. I think, it actually just in general, besides the B-Wing, I'm just kind of meh about this Wave 3. Like I said, I really like the way the Lambda class looks.
Mm-hmm.
I just, like I said, I just don't know how often I'll actually play with it.
Yeah, I think in the looks department, these might be the most ornate looking ships as a whole wave. They are really, really detailed. I mean, the Falcon, the Fire Spray had wonderful detail, but the Interceptor and the A-Wing were, as expected. They were not special. Every single one of these has so much detail. And this is just looking at, pictures on a website. We're not even gazing at them in our little palms right now. But you're right. Everyone expected the B-Wing. Everyone expected the Bomber. No one really expected the Lambda and the Hawk 290.
Like I said, I think, people guessed it. There was people who were guessing it, but yeah.
Yeah. But that kind of leads us to, and with you saying this one's kind of ho-hum, the Wave 2 was, really awesome from the time that we heard about it and we're speculating and then we got it. Really awesome. Complemented the first set really well. What do we get after this one, do you think? I mean, they've kind of used up the ships that we saw in the movies, aside from capital ships, big, huge ones.
Yeah. I imagine we'll see, there's still there's the Outrider. The Outrider was in the movies. In the special edition. Oh, yeah. You can see it in the special editions. You can see it flying out of Mos Eisley.
Huh. I guess I gotta go back and watch that again.
I think it was in the special editions. It was either in the special editions or in episode 1. It's flying out of Mos Eisley. I think it was in the special edition of episode 4, though. And then I could see the Jade Shadow, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Or not the Jade Shadow. That's a little bit too big. The Pulsar Skate, sorry. Yeah. That's a possibility there.
And for those who don't know about that one,
that is the personal freighter or I guess it's actually a yacht of Mirax, who is the wife of Corran Horn eventually. Well, spoilers for anybody who hasn't read those yet.
I think it's been around long enough.
Yeah. To where if you haven't read it yet, too bad.
Especially if they're reading NJO or Legacy. They should know by this point.
Yeah. There's, like I said, the Z95 Headhunter. I was kind of hoping to see that one this wave, but that didn't happen. What else? The TIE Defender, TIE Avenger. That's a couple possibilities. There's still a few out there.
I'm sure people are saying IG-2000, IG-2000.
Yeah, that's another thing. Some of, with the exception of, I think, what was it, like the Houndstooth?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the only one that scale-wise would be too big for this game. Most of the other ships belonging to the Empire Strikes Back bounty hunters would all fit as large-size ships, or even a couple of them as just small size. Going back to the B-Wing, though, have you seen the peg? How it goes into how it's held in on the pegs?
Yep, I'm looking at it right now, actually.
Yeah, that's cool how it goes into the back. I'm really hoping that means you can rotate it so you can have it. Because, I guess when I think of B-Wing, I think of it as, sideways from how they have it on display right now. Like, that's how I always think of it.
Yeah, because it's upright when it's traveling, and then it's on its side when it's fighting. Is that correct? Or is it the other way around? I can't remember.
It's neither, because the whole ship rotates around the cockpit, like, constantly, which is why it's so difficult to fly. So its orientation doesn't really matter for it.
For some reason, I thought there was something about its S-foils had to be in a certain position for combat.
I mean, yeah, its S-foils, fold down so it's just flat when it's not in combat, just like in X-Wings.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of then. That's my mistake.
But yeah, I mean, the whole ship rotates around the cockpit, so it can just be however. But yeah, I'm hoping that it'll actually rotate around on that peg so I can have it in whatever position I want.
I'm sure someone designing it already asked the question, like, hey, can we spin it around?
So yeah, what were we before? Yeah, talk about Wave 4. Yeah, I think that about covers it. I mean, I'm sure there's a few other ships floating around out there. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of any more, at least in the Rebellion era. I mean, that's when I believe, from what I've read, is Fantasy Flight has said everything's going to be from the Rebellion era. Now, that's not to say they might not release another version of this game, same system, just a different name for, a different era sometime in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And as popular as this game is, I gotta think that they're gonna want to keep making ships, because it's gonna keep making them money, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about the other night after we went off the air, was they've they haven't quite run out yet, but they're going to need to start looking at, tapping the well of the post-Jedi or the pre-New Hope ships before too long. Oh, and the other one that I thought of the other night that fans of Shadows of the Empire will remember, besides the Outrider.
Oh yeah, the Virago.
Yeah, I don't know why. I always liked that ship, because it just looks so different.
That would make a cool fighter, I think. The Virago is a really neat looking ship.
And it's only, as far as I know, it was only in the one story.
Yeah, well, yeah, just the game and stuff. I can't think of it anywhere else.
Oh, which is a shame, because it's so cool. So anyways, is there anything else to talk about?
Yeah, not game related. Oh no, you know what there was? Is Lucasfilm, like right after I can't believe I forgot about this, right after the EA announcement went out, like went and grabbed a whole bunch of domain names. My favorite ones are the fact that, do you remember there was this game that came out around episode 1 called The Gungan Frontier?
I didn't know.
Well, you're not missing anything, obviously.
Oh, man.
But of the names that they reserved the web domains Gungan Frontier 2, 3, and 4.com.
Oh, jeez.
They've also got, there's some other interesting ones, such as Order67.net.
Oh man.
StarWarsAlliance.com, StarWarsRebels.com, StarWarsWolfpack.com.
I'm sure people hearing that are thinking of The Hangover meets Star Wars, which, hey, if you got Han, Lando, Chewie, maybe Luke, maybe it's Luke's wedding, and they lose Luke. They lose Luke in Tatooine, and they all are hungover. That would be pretty fantastic.
Chewie would be like the dentist guy, only instead of like getting his tooth knocked out, he gets like a strip of fur buzzed off of him,
and he gets punched out by Mike Tyson.
A Gundark.
A Gundark, yes.
Yeah. Wolfpackadventures.net, WookieHunters.com. Yeah, I don't know. So it's it may not have anything at all to do with gaming, other than the fact that 3 of those domain names are definitely related to that old Gungan Frontier video game.
That is ridiculous.
So, it could just be a case of them grabbing domains that they just don't want other people using, and they don't actually have any intent of using them either. But it's interesting nonetheless.
Oh, and actually, we should drop a little bit more news just really quick, since we have to push.
Since we're just going to do this whole episode out of order and put that news down at the end.
Well, I mean, this is, we promised everyone another episode, and we don't want to leave them with just, hey, look, X-Wings, goodbye. So,
I
we
listened
had
to that show.
Well, hey, maybe that's what we should call the next show.
Hey, look,
X-Wings, goodbye. It sounds like a song from some indie rock group. But we got the new book that I've been looking forward to, Star Wars Kenobi, from our friend John Jackson Miller. And he's been keeping everyone up to date on its progress, and they just released the cover art, and it's coming out in August, and I'm really excited for it. I'm going to buy the crap out of that book, and you should too. What do you think?
I'm going to buy it. Maybe not the crap, but I'll purchase it.
That's probably a good policy.
It's definitely going to be better than whatever this new Troy Denning novel is called.
Oh, The Crucible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe that's still planned.
I haven't even read it. Don't plan to for a long time. I'll probably get around to it eventually, but I'm calling it right now. It's crap.
Well, yeah. Although I did want to mention just really quick that I was at the bookstore the other day and I saw the hardcover Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void by a first-time Star Wars author, from what I can tell. I'm not familiar with Tim Leben having done...
I saw that.
Yeah. And, we've talked about I love the old, like the KOTOR and before eras, and apparently John Ostrander has had a hand in kind of crafting this portion of the Star Wars world. I know you're a fan of his works.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this might be worth looking into. I can't wait to read this one and see, what we get in one of the more interesting time periods from an author that, is new to the franchise, see what they bring to it. I'd recommend people check that out and let us know what you think. And really, I think that might be it for realsies this time, unless you got anything else you want to throw out on the table, Leo.
No, that is it.
That is it. All right. Well, if that is it, then we will... Oh, I was going to say, well, I guess we'll just see you later. But I don't think we have any questions.
Nope.
Oh, actually, we just had... Actually, have you had your LCG tournament yet? Your regional pre-LCG?
No, we're not having one.
You're not having one?
No, there's actually just not enough people around here playing it that he couldn't hold them.
Yeah,
I mean he could have. It's he would have charged like a $4 entrance fee for each person to make back the cost of the without.
Uh-oh, I'm losing you. Uh-oh.
That's good. Good. I was talking anyways.
Yeah, I think that's a sign of going out of business. So maybe we should just cut it there. In fact, I won't even ask you to do our contact info unless you want to give it a shot.
No, if I sound anything like what you sound like to me, it's probably not a good idea.
Okay. Well, let's see how fast and accurately I can do this. You can find us on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, we're at Mos Eisley Radio. Visit our website, moseisleyradio.com. Send us an email, moseisleyradio@gmail.com. Come visit the forums. Come say hi. Give us a like. Give us a follow. Let us know what you think. We can't keep this up unless you interact with us. You listeners are the key to our continuing to go on this voyage with you. So be sure to talk to us. That is what we want. We don't want to just send this out into a vacuum, because that's no fun. Oh, are you coming back? I think I can sort of hear you.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's about halfway through your chat. I could start to hear you just fine.
Cool beans. So basically, people, we want to hear from you. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you think, even if you think we are hating douchebags who should never again talk about the Old Republic because we are just hateful and spiteful.
Or, don't tell us that. I'm fine with that.
We've heard it before. It's nothing new. So I guess, if that is that.
That is that.
That is Wiggity Whack, and that was that. Buster Rhymes. Alright, peoples. You got anything, Leo?
I got nothing. I got an inflatable Triceratops sitting on my desk here. That's what I got.
Are you holding it hostage with that box cutter? Are you threatening it? I'll cut you. Oh, jeez. I think there's some murder about to go down. Alright, well, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna murder us some Triceratopses. So everyone, have fun, keep gaming, and applause for Leo.
The end.